gentlemen and knights of the Nerd World Order. This is a spoiler-free review of The New Mutants, which is the final installment in Fox's ownership of the X-Men franchise. And boy, oh boy, what's up, Joe? First to hear this spoiler-free review of The New Mutants. So, before we get into The New Mutants, let me tell you that for years, Joe and I have been comic book nerds. We grew up reading the X-Men. The X-Men then branched off into the New Mutants. So for years, we have watched the New Mutants through their many incarnations, whether some of them became X-Men, some of them moved into X-Force, some of them became leaders, whatever the case may be. I know New Mutants well enough to know what was going on in this movie. So let's get into this spoiler-free review of a little movie called The New Mutants. As a nerd, there are 4 things that we look for in order to determine if a movie is good or not. We have the acting, the action, the special effects, and the story. Put them all together, you can get a possible of 4 nerd flags. So let's see how many nerd flags the New Mutants get. Okay, let's talk the acting. Now, the acting in this movie was actually pretty good. And I just have to say, spoiler alert, these actors and actresses had to act through a hot mess. This movie was just a hot mess, and they had to drag their acting ability through this movie. They had to do fake accents that were, at best, nominal. Like, I was like, is that a Russian accent? Is that an Irish accent? Is she Jamaican? Is she Asian? I don't know. They should have just dropped the accents like Halle Berry did in the first X-Men movie. Of course, then later on she would have it, she wouldn't have it, she would have it, she wouldn't have it. But they should have just dropped the accents. One character who was Cannonball had a southern accent. He pulled it off. Of course, he talked into his hat the most of the time, so it was hard to tell what he was saying anyway. But, I mean, they did good. They did okay with what they had, but you know what? 0 nerd flags for the acting in this movie. Man, these kids didn't have much to work with. I'll just say that. Let's move on to the action. What action? How do you have a mutant movie, an X-Men movie, and there just be like little to no action, and the action that did occur, you were always asking yourself, what the hell is going on? The entire movie could have just been called, what the hell is going on? Because every time they tried to give you some action, it was just like, boom, new shot from out of nowhere, and there was supposed to be action. I swear, every action scene just came out of nowhere, and you're like, what the hell is this? So poorly edited that every time they tried to give you action, it just made no sense. None. And the action wasn't that good, and a lot of the action was in the dark, so you're watching it, you're like, what the hell is going on? You have no idea. Not only because the story is bad, not only because the acting is mediocre, not only because the special effects are all grainy, but you couldn't see. You know when a movie's really bad, or the special effects are really bad, or the fighting and choreography is really bad, all the action happens at night? All the action just happens at night, so all you see are like shadows and spin kicks and stunt double comes in. That was this movie, okay? I had no idea what was going on. It was either shadowy or hella dark. Randall, word, hella word, word. There aren't enough words to describe how bad this movie was. Special effects. Special effects were okay. For like, I don't know, early 2000s. You know, it's like, CGI was bad. Yeah, that's just all there is to it. You have, let's see here, you have Magic, who's the Queen of Limbo, who has this badass sword that looked like it came from the Sci-Fi Channel. You had Sunspot, who also looked like his powers came straight out of the Sci-Fi Channel, or maybe the Disney Channel at best. You had Cannonball, whose powers were just like, boom, now I disappeared, everybody, because, why bother being able to see him? And it's just like, hey, let's just make him disappear, and he's moving so fast you can't see him. Here's a streak. So many great characters, so many later on iconic characters in the X-Men franchise. And the special effects were just lazy. And let me ask you this, how many times are you going to show us Elena's sword? The movie could have been called Elena and Her Sword and the Other Children Mutants, the other teenage mutants, because they always zoomed in on Elena's sword. Bro, it could possibly be as bad as Superman's mustachio could possibly be. Okay? Dumpster fire. You know what? There were fire special effects in this movie. And I have to tell you, Liz, if there was special effects for a dumpster fire, they would have blown that too. Okay? Because Sunspot turns into fire. There were fire-breathing characters in this movie. Hot garbage. Okay? That was a dumpster fire full of hot garbage. Now, let's move on to the story. Oh, by the way, no nerd flag so far. If you're keeping count, no, hella no, and hells to the na. Okay, so moving on to the what story? I guess they were trying to give us a story, but then they were like, I don't know, maybe they watched the dailies and they were like, hey guys, there's no story. There's no story in this movie. Well, why don't we just do this? Oh, that'll solve everything. Thank you, Deadpool, for giving me the phrase lazy writing. Speaking of lazy writing, this movie does take place in the X-Men universe, which means that a lot of the characters in the X-Men universe should have meshed up better with other characters in this movie. So you can't mention the X-Men, talk about the X-Men, but then ignore all the other parts and things that are related to the X-Men. And if you're an X-Men fan, you know what I'm talking about. But I ain't no spoiler, okay? Spoiler, this movie was hot garbage. So, let's see here. Yeah, there was no story. They tried to give us a story. And at one point, I was thinking, because of the way things were going, is this related to Logan? There is sort of a callback to something that happened at the end of Logan in the after credits. Not going to be a spoiler, but guess what? I went back and I did some research, and it's the same company, but it didn't relate to Logan. Like, if you think about it, if you watch the movie, yes, it could be related to Logan. But no, they couldn't even get that right. So, as an X-Men fan, horrible. As a nerd, horrible. As a man that loves movies, horrible. So, out of a possible 4 nerd flags, none for New Mutants. The acting, they tried to do the best that they could. They were given a bad script, bad direction, bad editing. Sorry, the young actors of the X-Men, they just gave you a hot dumpster fire to work with. The action, I don't know, turn on some lights and try to fight. There was no action. The special effects, you tried, but the folks from the Sci-Fi Channel couldn't do well enough to bring this together, because those were some Sci-Fi Channel level special effects. And the story was just completely uncohesive, completely ignored things from the X-Men, had the opportunity to link over into another movie, which is phenomenal, and just blew it. So, out of a possible 4 nerd flags, you get none. As you can all tell, do not watch. Well, yeah, watch it. Go ahead, watch it. Be pissed off with me. Watch this movie. Fox, this was your chance to go out and give us a final good X-Men movie. Let's compare it to Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix looks like Avengers Endgame compared to New Mutants. Watch it with me. Be pissed off with me. Be disappointed with me. Have your childhood just smacked around in Michael Bay style with me as you watch this movie. So there's not much else I can say. Watch it to be pissed off with me. Watch it to be disappointed with me. So, until next time, ladies, gentlemen, Knights of the Nerd World Order, rest in peace, Chadwick Boseman. I am NWO. We are NWO. Let your nerd flag fly. Watch New Mutants, because you gotta be pissed off with me.
Boo.